Hi, I'm Nick Ross, and today we're talking to Commvault. Who are you and what do you do, please?
Hi, I'm Martin Creighan. I'm the Vice President Asia Pacific for Commvault, and I'm responsible for the entire region, all the way from Korea and Japan, mainland China, all of ASEAN, all the way down to Australia and New Zealand.
And for those who don't know, can you tell us briefly what Commvault is and does?
Yeah, Commvault is a leader in cyber resilience, data security, intelligent recovery, and we're trusted across ANZ by government, financial services, critical infrastructure, mid-sized enterprises, etc. And we're trusted to help them recover in the case of a cyber incident or an emergency.
And what are the most common threats to businesses in Australia?
The threat landscape continues to increase, and we see that increase on a ongoing basis. And in fact, ANZ organizations face a perfect storm of threats and an increase of attack velocity, pardon me, through hybrid cloud complexity and heightening regulations. The regulatory environment is something that's coming to speed very quickly in regards to organizations having to comply with regulatory obligations, making sure that they can recover. And this is due to the increase in the attack vector and the threats increasing year over year more than 35%.
And how are the bad guys actually getting inside the business's infrastructure these days?
It's a really interesting concept there. The key way that they get in, of course, is now through AI enhanced phishing attacks is number one in regards to their entry into the organization. And attackers these days are increasingly targeting identity systems. And the reason for that, Nick, is once they get your identity, once they have that, then they have access to all of your applications, they have access to your data, and they have access to your backup. So once again, through poorly configured cloud environments, through some legacy systems, and most of all through unpatched vulnerabilities, they actually remain the common entry points into the organization. But as I mentioned, those phishing and social engineering attacks are accelerating, and the sophistication and the frequency is getting a lot bigger and a lot better.
And is enterprise level cybersecurity available to SMBs nowadays?
It's a great question. I think cyber resilience or cybersecurity is available to all organizations. And in fact, what I'd say is that many of the mid-sized ANZ businesses, they face the same threats as large enterprises, but unfortunately, in many cases, have limited resources, maybe limited specialists or no specialists, and absolutely higher operational pressure. They have to make sure they can continue to operate. So Commvault's latest innovations directly address those needs. And we actually are working really hard to make sure that we can protect the enterprise as well as help the enterprise recover. And that means all size enterprises, mid-size, SMB, all the way up to the large scale enterprises and government departments. We need to make sure that our modern resilience and our capability provides the automation, the cloud native simplicity, identity protection, as we talked about, and gives our customers the confidence to recover and recover quickly.
And has cloud native software leveled the playing field for backups and recovery?
I think it actually has. With cloud capability, when we call our latest platform Commvault Cloud Unity, it's unifying the capability and automating the capability for all enterprises, as I mentioned, mid-size and SMB, to recover after an attack. And how we're doing that is by bringing security, identity, and recovery into a single pane of glass and into a single platform to help our customers recover. But most importantly, as we talked about in the mid-size and SMB space, where maybe resources aren't at the beck and call, or they're not as abundant as maybe a large enterprise organization, the mid-size and SMB space will get the benefit of using AI-enabled synthetic recovery, which is a capability in our platform that recovers on the fly or on the go. It basically enables fast, clean recovery during a ransomware attack by removing compromised or bad data and reconstructing it with the latest clean data, and it does that automatically. So in addition to that, we're actually providing identity resilience enhancements in our platform that detects and reverses malicious AD and intra ID changes. And this is critical because once again, as I mentioned, Nick, if the bad guys get your AD or they get your ID, then your identity is compromised, and this is the number one attack vector in Australia, then it's going to be bad news for the organization. And I would say that the cloud native SaaS simplicity really it allows the mid-market and IT teams to deploy what I'd call enterprise grade cyber resilience without having to have a large team or the specialist on hand to do it. So it's all about that automation. It's about visibility, which our platform is providing, and it's about the capability to recover once something bad happens.
Can you go into a bit more on how AI is integrated into Commvault?
Absolutely. AI is absolutely critical. We like to actually say AI is there. And what we tend to do, or what we try to do, and what many cyber platforms try to do, is use AI to fight AI. Now, really importantly, AI has given us the capability to increase automation, but also do things like increase the capability as well as the scale in regards to anomaly detection and finding threats through our threat scanning capability. In addition to that, we've built a wonderful AI capability into our platform that we call Arlie. And what Arlie is our co-pilot. Arlie stands for Autonomous Resilience, and it's an AI co-pilot that we've built into the platform that we've just released conversational speech with this co-pilot so that now organizations can just give a command by voice and Arlie will go actually execute the command. So for an example, Nick, nowadays, instead of once again a mid-sized enterprise or SMB enterprise having to have the specialist skills to do a recovery in the case of a ransomware attack, their IT administrators now can just give the platform a voice command like, commence backup from yesterday's backup, etc., and Arlie will automate that process. So we're using AI in our platform for many things, all the way from the threat detection and the ability to find out where a bad guy has gotten in to identify what we call clean point recovery. So with AI and the scanning capability and anomaly detection we have, we can find what we call the clean point or the recovery point within minutes. And then we're also using the capability to provide automation and to provide a really easy use of the platform to provide a recovery or to actually implement a recovery in the case of an attack.
And what does Commvault mean by minimum viable company?
This is great. So what we believe is that for a company to continue to operate, and that really is the essence of what cyber resilience is. If we actually were asked today, what is cyber resilience? Cyber resilience is a company or an enterprise's capability to continue to operate whilst under attack. What an MVC or minimum viable company is an organization's ability to identify the critical data, the critical applications that you require to continue to operate. You'd be surprised, but there's a ton of organizations out there that struggle with identifying, okay, in the case of an incident, what applications, what data are critical for me to continue to operate? This is a must-have for our organizations and for our companies across A and Z. They must identify what's critical to continue to operate. Once they do that, then what we say is that's the MVC. That is your minimum viable company. Those are the critical data and assets that you need to continue to operate so that you have a clear idea and a clear knowledge of what do I have to recover in the case of an incident.
And what's on the horizon for Commvault?
Well, for Commvault, it's all about how fast can we actually help our customers recover. Nowadays, with the threat landscape continuing to increase, with the number of attacks continuing to increase, as an example, we talked about Active Directory. I was in a session with Microsoft just this past week, and they were telling us in Australia, the average enterprise has their Active Directory attacked more than 8,000 times a day. In our State of Data Readiness report that we released last year, we actually mentioned that 9 out of 10 attacks are on Active Directory. So with that type of a threat landscape and with the use of AI and the threat vector continuing to increase, for us, it's all about, it's no longer a matter of if you get attacked, it's a matter of can you recover and how fast you can recover. What's astonishing for us is, once again, I mentioned the State of Data Readiness report. Nick, this is a report that we've published every year for the last 5 years. And according to our report from last year in 2025, we're finding that over 80% of the companies that we surveyed said they have an incident response plan, but only 30% of those businesses test their incident response plans across their mission critical workloads, or is what we call MVC. So that is astonishing for me, right? If we have only 30% of organizations actually testing if they can recover, then when bad things happen, and it's just a matter of time before bad things happen, they're going to have a really hard time and getting back online and getting to full recovery. The other aspect that I will share, which is once again astonishing, is astonishing stat from State of Data Readiness Report this year, is that 50% of enterprises experience total data loss post breach, meaning they couldn't recover, they couldn't get their data back. As we all know, data is the oxygen of the enterprise. And if you can't get your data back and you can't get your critical applications back, then how can you operate? And if you can't operate, then you can't make money. Or if you're a critical infrastructure company or a bank, you can't service your customers. So only 50% of those enterprises, got their, or pardon me, over 50% of the enterprises experienced total data loss post breach. But funnily enough, only 40% of those companies that were breached last year got to full recovery. So only 40%, that's less than half of the companies that experienced a cyber incident were able to recover. This is why we're actually going out and talking about the criticality of identifying what are your critical data and assets, or MVC, and then testing the capability that you have to recover those in the case of an incident.
And how can any potential partners work with you? Do you sell direct or through the channel or both?
We actually sell through the channel. So we're a 100% committed through the channel and partner extensively across Australia and New Zealand with MSPs, with value-added resellers, and with global system integrators.
Excellent. And is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, finally for me, Nick, what I'd say
Mm.
is that, it's, as I mentioned, it's no longer a matter of if you get breached, but it's a matter of when. And it's really critical for enterprises, no matter your size, and especially in the SMB and mid-tier enterprise space where you might not have the specialists and you might not have the resources, to make sure that you identify that MVC, to make sure that you are testing on a regular basis that you can recover those critical data and assets, and to ensure that you have the right platform in place to give you visibility over your security, your identity, and your ability to recover. And if you need any help, then please feel free to reach out. That's what we're here for. Me and my team will be more than happy to help you.
Well, that's excellent. Thank you very much, Martin.
Thanks, Nick.